All right, let's go!
So, this is the kind of place where the big shots of Inazuma live, huh?
Welcome at last to the Kamisato residence, honored guests. Miss Kamisato is delighted to finally meet you.
Is this the Shirazage Himegimi you keep going on about? So, where's she at? Oh, behind the screen?
Yes. As the daughter of the Yashiro Commission, this is how Miss Kamisato is accustomed to receiving guests. Consider it a time-honored tradition within the Yashiro Commission. Forgive me if this is an unwelcome surprise.
Makes sense. She's a super important person after all.
Please forgive my lack of courtesy for receiving you in this fashion, especially following such a long and wearisome journey over the sea. I have awaited your arrival with great anticipation, and Toma assures me that you do indeed possess the power to change the tide of the times. At present in Inazuma, in the name of the Vision Hunt Decree, the people's aspirations are being senselessly trampled underfoot. Though the Yashiro Commission serves the Shogun, it is the people with whom we share close bonds, given the contact we are required to have with them in the performance of our duties. A commission's power rises and falls with the trust of their people. Thus, we cannot remain indifferent to this situation without also remaining indifferent to our own fate. Traveler, lend us your power, and we can... Oh.
See, milady, it's just like I said. This will take us nowhere.
No, please! Wait! Please, don't go! I will introduce you to the Raiden Shogun on one condition. You must fulfill 3 small wishes on my behalf.
What are your wishes?
They pertain to 3 whose visions were taken from them. Perhaps once you've met them, you will understand.
A warrior who guards a village, a former samurai who helped carry out the Vision Hunt Decree, and a swordmaster determined to become the best in the world. Does Paimon got that right?
Correct. Please do all you can to help them. I will await your return here. Then you have my gratitude.
I'm sure you'll do great.
Let's see. Where's the person Ayaka told us about?
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden, after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time to prepare. The children are desperate for you to take them out to play. Please, we urge you to reconsider.
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go over and see.
Ah, you must also be here to try and convince Tejima to stay. Tejima has protected this place ever since he arrived here 30 years ago. Keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near, resolving quarrels between the villagers. He has put an enormous amount of work into looking after this place, and we all think the world of him. But now, all of a sudden, he says he plans to leave us. We can't help but wonder, was it something we did? We will gladly apologize if that's the case. All we want is for him to stay.
If you want my opinion, something to do with the Vision Hunt decree. It's clear that Tejima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscated his vision. After that, he became a completely different person. I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went off on a walk, alone, circled the village a few times, and then out of the blue, he announced that he was going to leave and become a wanderer. Truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is the right thing to do. But equally, it doesn't feel right to let him leave when he's in this state. He's a lost soul.
Seems like he's a well-respected guy around here. You must be Tejima. So what's made you want to up and leave all of a sudden?
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of what reason I would have to stay. True, but that's not why I chose to stay here. And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? And why have I never wanted to leave in all that time? I don't have answers to those questions, because I can't remember anymore. Ever since they took my vision away in the past, I knew I wanted to stay here. But what—
Okay. Well, in that case, But if you can't— Oh! Maybe if you just try a little harder to remember, then—
Oh, that reminds me. Last time I brought Tejima some fruit, I do believe I saw him writing in a diary.
I keep a diary? If you say so. I honestly can't seem to remember.
Oh, yes, you do. And what's more, I remember you saying at the time that you wanted to—
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima—
If you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary. We should head back to the village to inform the others of Tejima's situation.
This looks like Tejima's— Let's see what we— Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised salted fish. I messed up and burned mine a little, so I had to pretend that it was black snakehead instead. Today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo was still in the water. I searched the water the whole afternoon before finding out that Bamboo was the name of his pet crab. I went kite fly— Seems like— Huh? I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The Omamori you gave me has faded a little, but it is still my most treasured possession. Now that's the kind of info we're looking for. Time to pay a visit to the shrine. So this is the Omamori Tejima wrote about. Interesting. Looking at the color and the design, Paimon would have thought it belonged to a child. But anyway, if he had this with him all the time— The soil looks like it's been disturbed. Maybe it must be something pretty amazing. It looks like Konda Village. Sounds so familiar. Where is that place again? he's been here for 30 years. Well, let's go get...
Well, I'll be. That's certainly my handwriting. And I guess the Omamorian letter belonged to me too. But I have no memory of anything that's written in this diary. Still, it's clear that I was waiting for someone here, and that I chose to wait for 30 years. Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. Anything that I could share with her when we were finally reunited. And just look at all the things that did happen over the years. The time has flown by so quickly. 30 years feels like the blink of an eye. How could I have forgotten something so important to me? Now that I think about it, when my vision was taken from me, it felt like I'd suddenly been hollowed out. Love, regret, everything I felt for her, it's all disappeared. No, not especially. After all, I've forgotten who she was. Her face, her voice, the things we experienced together. I barely recall any of it. It's as if she'd never been in my life to be an easy dream. I think maybe not. If this is something I waited most of my life for, I suppose I should carry on waiting. Although, what if she were to turn up eventually, only to find I didn't remember so much as her name? Wouldn't that be upsetting for her? When I think about it like that, I do feel a slight tinge of sadness in my heart. How curious. Why am I thinking like this when I don't even remember who she is? It's just like that feeling of emptiness, the feeling that something is missing. Thank you both for helping me reconnect with my reason for staying here. I shall remain here and keep waiting for her.
Tejima seems to be dealing okay, but still, it makes Paimon really sad. Seems it's just like Ayaka and Tomo were saying. If you lose your vision, you lose all your hopes and dreams too. That certainly explains the state Tejima was in earlier. At least we were able to help him, weren't we? Well, let's go find the next person. According to Miss Kamisato, the second one who lost their vision is a samurai from the Tenryou Commission.
Time to go.
They say the Tenryou Commission is directly controlled by the Shogun. They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in Inazuma, the ones actually enforcing the Vision Hunt decree. But why would they take action against one of their own? Paimon doesn't get it. Huh? There seems to be some commotion over there. Let's go see what's happening.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency provisions?
The entire clan is counting on that food! We demand an explanation!
How many times do I have to say it? I don't know anything about emergency provisions.
You dare deceive us? Those provisions are essential. Do you understand? Not some goods to be pocketed by greedy samurai.
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of this!
Oh, huh? And who are you? One of Kurosawa's gang, no doubt.
What? We just happened to be passing by. We heard the commotion and came to see what the matter was.
I see. You seem to have come just at the right time. Perhaps you can help us settle this matter. This is Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's army. They issue emergency provisions to the area, and he's the one responsible for distribution. In the past, we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be delivered. Now, he suddenly refuses to give us anything. He's keeping the provisions for himself, I just know it. We'll starve without them.
No one seems to care about us. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people like him helping her rule the nation.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But maybe we should talk to Kurt.
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But my own family can barely get by as it is. And that's the first bit of truth I've heard all day. The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the Vision Hunt decree. Why would...
To be perfectly honest, all I know is that I will perform certain things every month. And it's not just that. I have this...
Does it have to do with the missing...
I didn't take any. Like I said, if I was taking them to top it all off, my house was just raided by treasure hoarders. Which is why I came here in the first place. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders.
Huh. But we better confirm. We should be able to follow...
We really outdid ourselves this time. All those samurai houses packed with goods.
You haven't seen anything yet. Today's just the beginning.
You demand!
These seem like the treasure hoarders...
Another test subject.
I'm going in!
Illusion shattered!
And what? Oh, there goes all the Mora. We worked. Come on, boss.
Not bad, kid. You ever think of joining the treasure? Kurosawa. So he's the one who sent you after us, huh?
So what did you see in...
Food supplies. You kidding? I didn't want anyone else to see it. But now that you've caught us...
You've got a deal!
Huh?
What the?
There's nothing...
Yeah. And they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general... We better talk to this missile. As for you guys, you're free to go. Just pray that our paths don't cross again.
So, we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs. Does that mean we broke even?
Shut it.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. Or perhaps there's something you want. Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it?
Whoa! Let's not... How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money? Did he buy anything super expensive here?
Let me think. Kurosawa would come regularly to purchase large quantities of foodstuffs. He'd always put the payment on his own account. However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently, and his salary was no longer enough to cover the cost. So, he started writing out IOUs to cover whatever he couldn't afford of the usual amount.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions. But why did he have to purchase a usual amount? If the prices increased, couldn't he just buy less?
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed to sustain them each time. Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment for them if they found they didn't have enough. Especially so he deemed it necessary to take on—
Wow. Kurosawa was purchasing all the emergency provisions, and no one ever appreciated—
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. In the face of hardship, if you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions and never tell anyone, I'm still not too clear myself. If you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself? I see. That reminds— most unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his name, he'll have no choice but to sell that sword.
Sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? I've asked him about its origins. In hindsight, I regret that I never made an— Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Oh, but before you go— Information— Don't worry, I won't charge much.
At least we now know where— Let's go talk to Kurosawa.
Into the wind!
What are you doing here all by yourself?
I presented them with a choice. It turned out to be a real time-saver, actually. Did you manage to track down the treasure hoarders?
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency—
Strange. I don't really have any such recollection. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for everyone? But I could not deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was this sword. I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids next door. What did he say? It would seem that I forgot. All I can remember now is my father telling me that this blade bore his end.
Hey! If you look carefully, can you recognize the words?
Virtue? Somehow those two words seem to be taking on seemingly endless debts to make others happy. But what use are virtue and justice? The Tenryou Commission sees my vision, and the irony of all of it is, I'm incapable of being a good person.
Yet another— When we get the chance, let's speak to Toma about Kurosawa's debt. In any case, we must never let him sell off that sword. Yeah. Fortunately for us, let's go find the—